Good morning. I'm blessed and grateful to be in recovery. I'm Felice, and this is our Why Wait for Recovery Sunday morning recovery meeting.
Hi, my name is Haiti, and I'm blessed and grateful to be in recovery. And welcome to our Sunday meeting.
Welcome to our Sunday morning meeting.
We get together every Sunday to discuss addiction and recovery, and how the tools and the techniques and the solution for living a happy and healthy life. I'm an addict.
Are you?
Yes, I am.
Is that what you're doing here?
I am. I'm an addict 24/7.
Okay, and so am I, and on the weekends and at nights too. I'm a drug addict and an alcoholic and an anorexic.
And I am a compulsive overeater, a binger, a purger, food addict, and a drug addict.
Yay. So we pretty much have all of our bases and your bases covered. This morning, we are going to talk about misery. Because misery is an option, you guys. And so we didn't get clean so that we could be miserable. And so we're going to talk about getting clean and staying happy.
Well, isn't it interesting that when I'm in active addiction, my addiction wants to keep me miserable.
It wants to keep you dead too.
It wants to keep me dead. Not only dead, but it wants me to suffer until I actually die. I mean, that's really, every day becomes like wearing a cloak of bricks. That when I'm deep in my addiction and I'm not actually working my recovery, things are really difficult. Even doing basic things of getting out of bed and getting basic things done become a huge task, and become something that becomes so insurmountable in my head that I think I'm incapable of doing so many things.
I love that word, insurmountable. I think that I think that for me, more importantly for me, it was more of that constant shame. And you know, we're addicts because we have a problem in our heads, right? We have a thinking problem, and we don't know how to deal with whatever's going on in our lives. And so we've picked up a drug or a drink or a food, and our brain has some kind of reward system, and it asks us to do that over and over again so that we don't have to feel the way that we're feeling. And what happens then is, once we're in active addiction, we get to just pay attention to our addiction and look at everything that's going wrong and now blame our addiction for our problem, as opposed to us as our problem, which is the problem in the first place.
Well, when I first got into the rooms, I knew there was something wrong. You know, I knew something was wrong in my life for a really long time. It took me 42 years to get into the rooms, but I never knew my addiction had a voice, and I never knew that it controlled the way that I was so powerless over my addiction, that it took over my world to the level that it actually did, until I actually started working my recovery and starting to step into a program and start seeing how pervasive it really is. And it's more than, my world became so small, it became this little space above my neck.
Yeah, and so what we're going to talk about tonight is, you know, you guys, we get clean. We understand that our lives are unmanageable because of our behaviors. And so we get clean and we stop using our drug of choice. And now we're clean, and now what do we do?
Well, we can always pick up another drug of choice. So I could either go Candy Crush, or I can start doing gambling or sex or something else. Or I can go, this isn't working, something has to change.
Right. And so what happens is, then we're left with us. So we're not using our drug of choice, but we still have the same head that we had before we started picking up. And so what we'll talk about when we talk about not being miserable is acceptance and tolerance, and learning how to think differently, because we know that our thinking is going to drive our behaviors. So we're going to learn how to look at things differently so that we don't repeat those behaviors of picking up.
And the thinking differently, you know, dealing with addiction, it's the different parts of it. There's that obsessive thought, but it's also the stuff we put into our bodies. So it's a physical component. So abstinence is key in beginning the process, in being able to think clearly and to be able to look at things a little bit differently.
Right, and that's absolutely correct. And so we know in the beginning, well, we have to stay abstinent we choose to stay abstinent forever. But in the beginning, it's the abstinence part. Immediately in the beginning, it's the abstinence part that we work on. And then after that, it's changing our perspective that we work on, and learning how to get happy. You guys, again, I say this at almost every meeting. You know, they say that, you know, if you want to be in recovery, you really only have to change one thing, and that's everything. And so we have to change everything about the way that we look at life, so that we could change our perspective, so that we don't reach for those old behaviors.
And the insidiousness of food as well is that it's a constant battle between thinking that you're dieting, because I was a serial dieter for so long that I thought that I was punishing myself, that recovery became another diet in a sense. And it's a totally different way of looking at things and dealing with things, because the food really isn't the issue.
It's not, but I love when you talk about dieting, because you guys, for bingers and purgers, compulsive overeaters, even anorexic in the opposite way, you guys talking about changing your diet is like me talking about only drinking tequila on Saturday. You know,
And
like I
beer,
love that. Or only having one shot.
right, and beer on Sunday.
Right. And so there ain't no such thing. And so my world doesn't work where I could do one shot, or we wouldn't be hanging out I wouldn't be hanging out having this meeting.
Right, and so one of the challenges is stepping into the rooms as a food addict was that constant want to swap things out. You know, if I stay off my trigger foods, which is the wheats or the starches or whatever those look like, but if I swap them out for things, so it's still that addictive brain, you know, I always have to remember that my brain comes with me to meetings. You know, my brain knows how to work addiction as much as I do, because it sits with me all the time. And then it's like that little monkey in the corner that when things are not that great or things are a little bit rough is when it pops up and starts putting these crazy thoughts inside my head. You know, one isn't going to make a difference because I've stayed off it for 6 months, or I haven't touched it for 3 years, or you know, everyone else can do it, why not me?
And so that's every time I pick up on a lie. And so that lie is always going to be that it's okay to have just one, and that this time it's going to be different, and really nobody's going to know, and I could always start again on Monday. And that stuff just don't happen. And so
and that's choosing the misery, because the minute I start going down that road, then it becomes that obsessive thought, and then it becomes the guilt, the shame, and the blame game, and that whole thing. And it's not living a joyful, happy life. At the end of the day, it's redoing those same behaviors as before. So how do we become happy?
So first thing that we remember, like you had touched upon first, as far as the abstinence goes, is that with addiction, we have, as soon as we take that first drug or drink or food into our body, whatever our own mind-altering substance is, we trigger that compulsion and obsession. So we have that physical craving, and we take something into our bodies, and it triggers that dopamine receptor, and we crave. And once we start that craving, we have that obsession. And so that's why, and it's, you know, those obsessive thoughts about ways and means to get more. And so we know that that's the first thing that we have to quell. That's part of the unmanageability. And so we stop that. So we come to a meeting, and now it's been a week, or it's been, 8 days, or it's been 2 weeks. And they say in the rooms, if you're an alcoholic horse thief and you stop drinking, you're still a horse thief. And so we have to learn how to not be a horse thief. And we do that by changing the way that we think. And again, and yesterday we talked a lot about acceptance, accepting the world for the way that it is, and not trying to control things that are completely out of my control, which, by the way, just about everything is. The only thing that's in my control is the way that I look at things, which is my perspective and my own actions. Not your actions, and not your actions, no how much I want to manipulate you into doing something for me, that don't work. And so we learn about getting happy with us and what that looks like for us. Is it okay if we go around the room?
In 1 sec. So we're going to go around the room, but I also just want to touch base with all the thousands of people that watch us as well, is you can jump into the conversation via Zoom. All our information's on Wild Way for Recovery page. It's at the top. Hop into the conversation. Part of what we do as addicts is we change the way that we feel by picking up if we're in active addiction. And the best way to start healing is to start talking about what is really eating us rather than what we're eating. So I suggest hop into the conversation. We also live stream on YouTube as well. And I said, let's go around.
Good morning. You okay this morning?
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay. Anything come up for you yesterday? We had a pretty heavy workshop yesterday.
Not really. I mean, I felt good. I continue to do what I have to do. I feel good as far as, being in the room with, people who, I just want to say, like, people who may be eating a certain thing, but I'm choosing to eat what's best for me and keep myself healthy, and making them aware of what I can and can't have. So I'm like telling on myself so that they know, and then I feel better. They know.
Good, and that's also you setting a boundary, right?
Yes.
So that people don't come up to you and say, "Oh, but you could just have a bite, and I made this special for you," and
Exactly.
all of that stuff. When you set
Yeah.
that boundary for yourself, gives you some strength, right?
Yes.
Right, makes you a little bit more courageous, right,
Yes.
to take that next step. Congrats, and I know that you've been abstinent for a little bit.
I messed up on the days as far as which day it was, but it's been a week. Today's
okay.
That's
the
Yeah.
awesome. 7
So,
days clean. Awesome.
Congratulations
Thank
for that. And I think not only have you been abstinent, but you've been participating more. And yesterday you were smiling a whole lot. And so thank you for sharing that smile with us. And thank you for sharing your input, because that's part of what keeps the rest of us clean. So thank you for that.
Thanks.
Good morning, Johnny. How are you this morning?
Hi, okay, good. How are you?
Anything come up for you, or are you good?
I'm good. I'm good.
Okay.
I'm good.
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
We haven't seen you in a while.
I'm here.
How are you?
I've been doing really good, but yesterday I went out to dinner and I didn't even think of it, but I had pasta, which I don't even enjoy pasta. And then after I had a bite, I'm like, what the hell am I doing? So I pushed it aside, but I was just a little irritated that I messed up on pasta.
So I'm gonna call you out. I haven't seen you in so long, so I'm gonna call you out.
Go for it.
So you said so I ate some pasta, and I didn't even think about it. But that's kind of like me saying, I just did one shot because I really didn't think about it, because I know I always have to be diligent. I have to, because for me there's no such thing as one shot. So is it something that you did haphazardly, or something that you said, I'll just take the one bite and that'll be that? Because you're a pretty intelligent thinking young woman.
Right,
So,
but I mean, pasta, I don't like pasta like that. So
okay,
if I'm gonna mess up, it wouldn't be with pasta, it'd be with like tiramisu.
okay.
I mean, you're right. I don't know.
So, and the reason why we're diligent, you guys, I'm a straight tequila out of the bottle girl.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really care for any other alcohol. I hated wine, gave me a headache, hated beer. But I know that if I have a glass of wine or if I have beer, there's a possibility, there's no possibility. It's going to trigger that receptor in my brain. And then once that part of my brain is triggered, I'm going to have a problem. It's much easier for me to fall into active addiction. So I want you to be super careful with that, because that's self-preservation. So
yeah. After the pasta, I was already like, I go down quick.
Yeah, so we all do. We all do. That don't make you special. We're all the same way. It's like, F it. Already
Yeah.
did that.
Yeah,
So-
and then after we were walking and we stopped in a candy shop, and I'm like, this is bad timing. And they're like, do you want a sample? I'm like, fuck it, I just had pasta. So yeah, so I took a bite, and then I'm like, I'm so sick of myself right now.
Okay.
And then
and-
I'm just done.
So thank you so much for sharing that. So you just went through that whole bullshit that every single addict will go through, and you did it eloquently. So thank you. I'm at dinner. I got pasta, which I don't really care about pasta because it's not one of the foods that I like, but I'm going to have a bite anyway. And so I had the bite. Again, that's me taking the first Percocet, you guys. And then we were in a candy shop, and now I'm already got the efforts, right? And I'm in a candy shop, which, by the way, at the beginning of the story, you didn't mention. The beginning of the story, you just said I had a bite of pasta. But now we're going to the candy shop, and you have a sample of candy because it's already in your head. You already did it. That's the beginning of every time I picked up on a lie.
What's
And then-
the lie?
The lie is that it's okay for her to say, it doesn't matter. I don't even like spaghetti, so I'm just going to have one bite of the spaghetti. That's the lie. Because, not the lie that she don't like spaghetti, maybe she doesn't, but it triggers her addiction, triggers the dopamine receptor. And so she's off to the races. And then you go into the candy shop and eat some candy, because WTF, man. Right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Thanks. You guys, that's how it works for every one of us. That doesn't make any one of us special. It just makes all of us addicts.
So I just want to reiterate something. WTF in this room means where's the food? Okay?
Exactly. Where's the food? You're so awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that. And you guys, I appreciate that courage and your bravery to come in here and say that. Because the thing, you guys, with alcohol is that if I'm shit-faced, everybody in the room's going to know it. And if you had candy last night, you're the only person that knows it. And that's what makes emotional eating, binging and purging, anorexia, I think, even more difficult and more insidious than actually, sorry to say, alcoholism. Percocets were a little bit easier. Alcohol is like the worst because alcohol everybody know, or the easiest, because everybody calls you out when you're drinking. The other stuff that you could get away with, that's you getting honest with you so that you can get happy, so you could change your perspective and get happy. So thank you so much for your honesty, man. That was awesome. Thank you.
The bread instead.
I'm joking.
The bread. The kids have
Spoken
it.
like a true addict. She just said I should have eaten the bread instead. That's like me saying, because I still think in my head, I can't believe that I relapsed 2 years ago. I'm in recovery again, and I never shut up. Like, my brain still thinks that you should have at least shut up once.
A couple of years ago, there was actually a drug you could take that took the fat out of food.
Oh, okay.
So-
Olean.
Olean,
Right. They had it in potato chips.
Right,
you
so
guys.
that was the best thing for me when that came onto the market, because all of a sudden I could eat crap that I loved eating and justify to myself, well, I'm not going to be absorbing it, okay?
It was an anorexic
Yeah,
treat. That's amazing.
But it gave
Yeah.
you diarrhea.
Yeah, well,
that was
besi-
the other place.
That was the
anorexics don't
Yeah.
care.
Yeah.
Anorexics don't have a challenge with that as long as
Listen,
we're skinny.
binges and purges,
Yeah, we
if
don't
it's
care
out, it's
about
out,
that.
okay?
Shit,
Yeah.
no pun intended. Allison, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Good.
So I heard you're reaching out to your sponsor a little bit. It's not even that I heard, but I know that you're reaching out to your sponsor a little bit more.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you about that. We had a conversation, which of course I'm not going to bring up the other day, but a whole lot of honesty coming from you. And so when I hear all of that honesty coming from you, that shows me that you have the willingness to change. And so thank you for sharing that with me. The place that you're at right now where you're looking at your own behaviors and saying, I'm not sure, we always say check your motives. Check your motives. Why am I doing what I'm doing? What is it that I hope to get out of it? Is this something that kind of keeps me in active addiction? Or is this just for, just because this is the way that I'm living my life and it makes me happy. It makes me feel happy, as opposed to this is the way that I'm living my life and I'm second guessing myself and I'm feeling guilty or ashamed or having any other negative feelings. And so you sharing that stuff is you getting honest with you. And it does say, hey, I'm willing to take a look at myself, because until you take a look at yourself, there's no way for you to change. And so I really want to commend you for that. And it brings me back to in the very, very, very beginning, when you're just getting abstinent and you're all kinds of sick and scared, like all kinds of scared. What am I going to do now? Now I'm not going to pick up my drug of choice. And what do I do? How do I get happy? What am I going to do when I'm having a challenge, or I'm sad, or I'm angry, or I just want to get out of here? What am I going to do when I've chosen not to fall back on those behaviors? And so the easiest thing to do, you guys, is some kind of cross addiction, especially if it's another addiction that we know that nobody's going to know about except for us. You guys, they say you're only as sick as your secrets. Secrets, we keep secrets because we're ashamed. Staying ashamed keeps us sick and suffering as addicts. Right? And so eventually, when we're walking around with a lot of secrets, we're walking around with a lot of shame, we're going to use. It's just the way it is. Whether we use our drug of choice or not, we're going to use.
So is that why sometimes, speaking as myself, because it's the only way I can, as a food addict, I always looked at other addicts as being worse. I thought the drug addict, until I realized I actually am the drug addict as well, but I always looked at alcoholics and, the coke addicts and the gamblers as worse addicts than me, because it was just food. So I could always start the diet on Monday. So it was really going in, and once I had the bariatric surgery, it was realizing that I could still pick up my substance of choice, but I couldn't pick it up in the same way, which became really scary. Not being able to do those things of binging and purging, because I couldn't purge. And not only that, I couldn't eat the way that I used to eat.
Really binge.
You couldn't you couldn't just swallow without chewing. And I couldn't finish the plate. So that became like that big moment for me, that maybe there's something up in this. Maybe something.
Maybe I should be smoking some pot, right?
Which I did as well.
Yes, we did.
Yes, 100%. And from the pot was the cigarettes, and became a whole different juggling act.
Yeah, and statistically, you guys, 30% of everybody that has some type of bariatric surgery will very sooner than later switch to alcoholism, because the addiction's the addiction. And you know, if you're shooting tequila, it's only a little tiny bit that you need, right, to get that first buzz, especially if you weren't a drinker before. So congratulations, everybody who switches their addiction to alcohol. Now you got 2 things that you need to work on, not just one.
What was it? If you what you said just now, if you're shooting tequila, it just takes a little to get you a buzz. What?
Your
In other
stomach's
words,
this
when
big.
you're when you're a binger
Yeah.
and you're used to eating this much chocolate
Right.
or Oreos,
Right.
as opposed to having 2 shots of tequila like this to get the buzz, you can
Right.
still fit the 2 shots of tequila in your stomach.
After bariatric
You can
surgery.
still, after bariatric surgery, you can still shoot up. You could still take, first of all, oxycodone's really little. You could take a bunch of those, right?
Right.
And so there's other stuff that, it's the truth, that you could fit in your stomach. I know you're laughing at me, but it's the truth, because it will fit in your stomach, right? Just how does it fit into your life?
And when
you know,
you have,
and where is it that you want to be?
so when you have the sleeve surgery, if you have bariatric surgery, they take out 75% of your stomach. So your
Wow.
stomach is really little. So your absorption is really very intense because it's a very small space. So
Wouldn't it be less? Wouldn't your absorption be less?
it is,
No, not with
on certain
alcohol, it
things.
won't.
Oh.
Yeah,
Right.
with food. Food
Liquid.
needs to be
Yeah.
digested. Alcohol crosses the blood-brain barrier, and bam.
It's like a milkshake. Once you have bariatric surgery, you can still pick up those milkshakes and get in those calories. And
Not that we're giving any suggestions, you guys. So now
Yes.
that I've asked you to speak and didn't let you get one word in, is there anything that you'd like to share?
Shut up.
Anything you'd like to share? About? No.
You spoke my thoughts eloquently.
You
No,
don't
I
need
really-
us.
And I would apologize, but I don't feel sorry about that.
Don't feel sorry.
I don't, trust me.
don't. I don't have anything to say.
I just feel compelled because you're all so negative that you know, like I was out last night too, and at a bum, it was a place that had all kinds of food, and I know that you're right. You pick up and you're off and running, right? But I think after building up some time, and I know that if I were to pick up, I'm off and running, like I said. But I went through a whole, restaurant experience, and it was all this stuff I could have had, and I'm conditioned, hopefully, a day at a time, not to pick up. So I
Ange?
didn't.
Yes.
Can I disagree?
Yes.
I don't think that's true, because if you're
What isn't true?
that you're conditioned not to pick up, because if that was the case, you would never have relapsed.
True, but when you relapse, you bring yourself back to another. I don't want to get all brain. There's this. When you have repetitive behavior, you develop what's called fiber tracks in your brain. That you're on this track where you
Okay.
behave a certain way. When you pick up, you immediately revert to the previous fiber
Correct.
track.
Correct.
So you're drinking again or eating again. So if there's good news, the good news is if you can keep yourself from picking up, like I did last night, you're in the groove you want to be
Absolutely. And what Andrew was
It's not
saying
a
is,
conditional thing, though.
no,
It's
it's not
conditioned.
conditioning.
Yeah.
If it was just conditioning, then everybody would diet. Or they would
And
have
it would
put
work.
me, I'm an alcoholic, drug addict, anorexic. They would have put me in a room for a month, force fed me regular food, right? Not giving me any drugs or alcohol. And if it was just conditioning, I would walk out of that room after 30 days and never pick up.
True. But
True.
So is there no benefit to the accumulation of time?
That's
and
not what
habit?
I'm saying.
Okay.
That's not what I'm saying. So first of all, we need clean time so that we could get some recovery. We need to change our thinking and our perspective, which comes over time. And what Andrew was saying, that a couple months ago when you went into your neighbor's house and you ate whatever you ate, that never would have happened if it was just conditioning. It wouldn't have happened.
And the benefits of clean time, the longer we have clean time, the less that obsession becomes a compulsion to action.
Correct.
So it just becomes a thought that we can go as a thought. Because if it was a question of willpower, the first diet we did would have worked, and we would have
Absolutely.
had behavior modification, and I wouldn't have had bariatric surgery, and I wouldn't have relapsed, and I wouldn't have all of a sudden turned around and gone, how could I consume so much food at those times when I really was in that shock mode that I was eating to the point of hurting myself to where I really needed to throw up because I was so uncomfortable. If it was a question of just behavior, I'd be able to say, this is moderation, and stop.
I had 7 years clean, and I was pretty good at it, at least for the first 5 as far as recovery goes. So I had 7 years clean. So if after 7 years of abstinence and a bunch of recovery in my belly, I could still relapse, then it's certainly in conditioning.
So, and
yes.
I'm asking, I'm not
Sure,
sure.
go ahead.
You know, the fact that, say you're clean, say, or you're down the road a ways. Essentially, don't you have to like juggle all those plates on those sticks? Aren't they all going? I forgive me for using the word willpower, but willpower and conditioning and habit and isn't all that stuff in play?
Yeah, well,
To some
so is
degree.
thinking.
Before
Yes.
you answer his question, may I add something? Because
Of
I think
course.
this will help clarify. Do you consider clean time? Do you consider, because you keep saying time, and I'm a little confused. I don't know if you consider it as clean time, as in you haven't relapsed, even if it's just for a day, or do you mean clean time as in I haven't had anything in 8 months or however long, or do you mean like clean time in the span of time you've been working on your recovery? Because there's a big difference.
I guess the span of time I've been doing this.
Yeah,
so we
and
have
so
two different definitions.
right.
Yeah.
And so you're talking about recovery, and
Right.
so recovery is changing our thinking so
Which
that
I think
we
I
can.
have.
Yeah, no, she's not saying that.
Right.
Yeah,
She-
no, I
she-
wasn't
right.
disputing that.
Right,
I was
right,
just asking
Angeli's
about
my sponsee, so we talk about the difference between clean time and recovery time.
Right.
I mean, when we pick up our chips or our key tags or whatever we're picking up, our chips,
We
not
can't
those
pick up chips, yeah.
not
Because that's one of my trigger
not
foods.
these
Like-
chips, the poker chips, because we're gambling with our lives. But we talk about when we're picking up our medallions, that shows clean time, continuous clean time, and recovery is something else, right? We talk about recovery being something else.
I just want to say something. Welcome to the new people in the room. Hi, welcome. If you want to join
Hi.
in the conversation, you unmute, just unmute yourselves and you can hop into the conversation.
Yeah, and we're going to go around, so we're going to get them
Right.
in just a second. Thank you,
Right.
Haiti. So, Allie, now do you have anything you want to say?
No.
Okay. Okay, and so I know that you will say something if you want to.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy to see your face here this morning, as I always am.
I'm always happy to be here.
Thank you.
I do a lot to keep this space.
Angelique, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you, sweetheart?
Great.
Good. Anything you want to share?
I don't think so. I think everything's good.
Okay.
Early in the week, I struggled a little bit, but we talked about it. I talked to you and I talked to Haiti,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it's resolved.
And when you reach out, that makes you feel a little bit lighter?
Yeah, a lot. Especially with you, I know you really well because you've been my sponsor since day one. And with Haiti, I obviously know Haiti pretty well too, but not on that personal level where I tell her all the secrets that you know about me through working on recovery. And she was really open and very, like, it's okay, whatever it is, tell me, it's okay, we'll work through it. And
Yeah.
that was good because I needed to know that there's people like that.
And so acceptance is a huge part of your recovery, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. And accepting somebody and seeing somebody else for what they are and not for what they're doing for me,
Right.
but for what they are as a person. And you being able to reach out to Haiti allows Haiti to be of service.
Right, and that is so interesting because service is a two-way street. So it's the giver and the getter. So being able to be of service also makes me feel good, and it also helps me in my recovery because it helps me talk about things. Because as an addict, the last thing I really wanted to do when I first stepped into the rooms was talk, because it was all about saving face and looking good and
Yeah.
being liked and whatever my reasons were. But stepping out of that, also being of service helps me step out of my head for a few minutes and step into someone else's shoes and just see the world from a different perspective for a couple of minutes. And also it makes me feel special that someone reaches out to me
course.
and values my opinion and values me as a human being and loves me enough to be able to reach out and say, I value what you say.
Yeah, and when you guys are sharing like that too, there's really nothing superficial about that, so it doesn't have anything to do with anybody's ego.
Right.
It's
Right.
not that you're talking to Haiti so that you can look good in front of her.
I was crying. I called her on the phone and I was crying before I even said hello.
Yeah.
And I don't do that. Like I don't pick up the phone and call somebody and already be crying. I don't like cry like in a room of people. So
Yeah. Yeah, and so super important, and then everybody gets a chance to be who they are actually, and have that type of relationship with somebody where it's about who you guys are, heart to heart. You always say that recovery is heart to heart, right?
Right, and it also made me feel closer to you, and that is so interesting because that's the thing that I was always scared of people knowing is me. It's that I always present it in a different way than what I was sometimes feeling on the inside.
yeah. I
So
think we
having-
all do that a lot.
Yeah, we do.
So I'm learning honesty by you sharing honestly as well.
Yeah.
Right, and it makes it not so scary for you too, right?
Right, it was
When you
awesome.
see that
I mean,
somebody else
we've
could do
been in-
it,
Yeah.
right? The universe didn't collapse
Right.
just because you told the truth.
Right.
No,
Right?
all I did is I loved her more and wanted to hug her. I mean, that's
Exactly.
And you just listened to me, didn't judge me for what I had to say, which is good. Because I know Felice doesn't do that. But
Doesn't do what?
Judge her.
Oh.
I don't judge her.
But you know when you're removed from a situation where like I was used to everybody judging me and Felice was the first person I trusted to tell all that stuff to, whatever it was, and it's like you believe that this one person's gonna do that, but you don't think others in your life will do that. So it's good to see that it's not like a one-time thing with just Felice. I can have that with healthy people who have healthy boundaries.
I love that you said this because when I first started stepping into the rooms and I met her, I always thought, what does she want? You know, what is in it for her?
Remember,
What is this going to cost me? And what is in this for her? Like, what does she want from me? Someone definitely wants someone. No one's doing this out of the goodness of their heart. Until I realized recovery really is a different kind of program. And it really is love, compassion, kindness. I mean, really is where it comes from, because by practicing those principles, we give it to ourselves and we give it to others and we teach others on how to do it. It really is a mentoring and receiving program.
Yeah, and you guys, when we give just to give, it makes everything so much easier. You know, because there's no manipulation. So if I'm being kind to you just because I want to be kind to you without expecting anything in return, it makes my life so easy. It does.
And it makes me
It's
happy.
like, of course, and it's
Yeah.
such an easy, nice thing to do, and I don't have to think beyond that. Today, I just want to share with you and be nice to you.
And also it takes away that resentment. You know, I did this for you and you didn't respond in this way and you didn't read my mind and give me this kind of thought or this reaction.
Yeah, the way that addicts think. It's awesome. Thank you. Thank you. Hi,
That's
Karen.
how addicts think. That's how addicts think.
That's how addicts think. Hey, Karen.
Hi,
What's up, girl?
I'm doing good. I find when I get out of my head and focus on someone else or something else, it's a whole lot easier. I find I have more energy. I'm happier. So I can identify with what everyone is saying, and it's just I'm so grateful for these for the workshop and the steps we're working on. I have a lot more work to do, and I'm looking forward to it.
And so you're very intuitive and very insightful about yourself, and that's awesome. And so when you speak the truth, you really speak your truth, like from deep down. So at the workshops, I mean, you kind of have a good idea of the stuff that's your challenges spiritually, that challenges you, and you keep yourself, willingness part, very open to suggestion. And that's super important, because you guys, without willingness, without honesty, and then willingness, we don't get clean. End of discussion. So thank you for both of those. And thanks for, you know what's cool too? It's like you'll bring up something and then bring that up again, and bring it up again when you're working on it, which means you drop the ego part. And that's so amazing. It's not like, well, I'm not going to say this because I know we all think this. Well, if I say this again, then they're going to think that I didn't listen, or I'm not doing a good enough job, or I'm not the recovery warrior that I'm supposed to be because I already mentioned it last week and I haven't gotten 100% better yet. That's our crazy
That's exactly
bullshit.
what I do think.
Right. I know. I know, that's so awesome. But you work on it anyway. So God bless you for that, man. And that teaches everybody that it's okay that we don't walk into the room and hang out at a meeting and say, bam, oh, now I got some recovery.
I'm done.
Right? We're just a work in progress, right?
Absolutely.
Right? And they say progress, not perfection.
And
Right.
Right.
what I love about Karen is recovery takes a whole lot of tools in your toolbox. Besides doing the steps and showing up for meetings and doing all this and talking, it's also talking to the community that supports us. You're one of the first people to post in our Facebook page. I mean, in terms of our community, of I need help, I'm struggling with this, and dealing with it as soon as it comes up, which is awesome.
Yeah, and that also shows so much
That
willingness.
helps me.
Yeah. And it helps everybody else by helping yourself, by stepping out of yourself, by not being afraid, by letting your ego go and saying, hey, today I'm going through this and I need help. It gives everybody else permission to say, hey, first of all, thank you for sharing that, and maybe they can help you some. And then it gives them that permission to say, yeah, and I'm going through this and I'd like some help too. So thank you for that.
It's been so refreshing to see myself mirrored in everyone, actually. I'm sorry, but, that's it's just, I'm not by myself.
Right. You're not alone.
Right.
Yeah.
And you guys, our addiction makes every one of us the same. I don't care if you're living under a bridge with a needle in your arm, or if you're living in, a $2 million house and you're 130 pounds overweight. Our addictions are addiction. It's it touches every single one of us. Don't matter what we look like on the outside, because on the inside, we are all exactly the same. We're all stuck in fear. We're sick and we're scared and we're suffering. And until we get some recovery, we don't know how to get better.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
That's
thank
right.
you so much.
So
Thank
we got
you.
Thank you.
So we've
who
got
do we
someone
have?
who joined us by phone with the telephone number ending in 176. Hi, do you want to check in? Just unmute yourself. If you don't...
954. Oh, that's Susan.
Oh,
That's my
Susan.
number.
Hey, Susan.
Hi, Mom.
And then we've also
Best mom ever.
and we got Becky. Hi, Becky. Do you want to unmute yourself and you'd be able to say something?
Becky.
There
There
we
you
go.
go.
Hi.
Good
This
morning.
is my first time on Zoom, so
Welcome to the community.
thank you.
Very cool. Can we get to know you a little bit? Anything that you can share with us that you feel comfortable sharing?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I've been to previous 12-step meetings and had a hard time even recognizing that maybe I do have a problem.
Okay.
I'm trying again to see how this will work for me. But I did have bariatric surgery this last week.
Oh,
And
awesome.
I don't want to fail, so I'm doing everything I can to try and get all the right resources in my life.
Becky, so congratulations, and I'm going to let you know, I practice medicine, and I'm going to let you know that I got a lot of patients that are 3 years post their bariatric surgery, and the only thing that changed was that their stomach got smaller, and they come back to me 3 years later and they've gained more weight than they lost in the first place, or that they gained more weight than they started with before their surgery. And so we say, if nothing changes, nothing changes, right? And so if you don't if we don't change our perspective, we're not going to be able to change our actions. And so you working on, first of all, showing up means that you're willing, right? And so why you're here sometimes doesn't matter. It just matters that you're here. It just matters that you showed up with an open mind. Whether or not you're going to stay with us, of course, will be up to you. But it's kind of a big community that we have. And you can reach out to anybody on What's Eating You. Is that right?
Yeah.
On What's Eating You or Why Wait for Recovery. And there are a whole bunch of people that are post-surgery, and a whole bunch of people that are more than happy to be of service to you and for you. So if you have any questions or you have any secrets, or you have any ouches, or you have any I'm scareds, or if you have any thank yous, whichever way you want to do it, please reach out to the community, because there are a whole bunch of people that would be happy to be of service.
I have a comment.
Yes.
So Becky, I joined this group 2 weeks before I had my bariatric surgery, and it has been very helpful in helping me to develop healthier behaviors and have a different perspective. So welcome.
Thank you.
And spiritually, you see that change in yourself, correct?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we're talking about the spiritual principles right now when we're doing our gratitude. And so I'll challenge you to do that. Are you doing gratitude list? Back?
Not quite yet. I do read all the other gratitudes, but I haven't done mine.
Why?
I just don't know the words yet.
Okay, so there's no work. 3 things I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that I'm grateful that I woke up. I'm grateful that I have a computer, and I'm grateful that I'm going to get my toenails polished in 3 weeks. It could be something super simple. And actually, the things that we pay attention to that are the most simple are the things that help us to stay happy through the day. And your strength for today was courage or honesty, right? The spiritual principles are up there because you're getting honest, and it takes a lot of courage to show up at this meeting for the first time. Right? So you already have, I'm sure, can you tell me 3 things that you're grateful for right now?
Well, I'm grateful that I found the group.
Okay, that's 1.
I'm grateful that I'm awake.
That's 2.
And just in general, I'm grateful for my support from my family.
Awesome. So right there, it took you a second to have 3 things that you're grateful for. Right? Put them down on paper. It changes our perspective, and it teaches us that we can look at what's good as opposed to, remember, there are going to be 1,000 things that happen today that I could look at and be pissed off at, and there are 1,000 things that are going to happen today that I could look at and be grateful for. That's my choice. Whether I live happy, whether I choose to look at what's great or choose to look at what isn't, that's up to me. That's my perspective. And so our gratitude list teaches us the beginning of that. To get out of our head and to get out of the, oh, poor, miserable, woe is me, right? That pour me a drink. To get out of that space and to step into a space where no matter how difficult the day was, there were certainly 3 things that I was grateful for today. Okay?
Okay.
So I'm gonna challenge you to do that. Okay? All right, awesome. Thank you.
Becky, can I offer a comment for Becky?
Of course.
I had bariatric surgery 3 years ago, and I wish I had found this group before I had my surgery, because I literally woke up. I guess I was craving, because I was like, okay, as long as I can still have 1 or 2 chips with my salsa, I'm going to be okay. Because that's how I thought. And so that's where I went back to, like, I could eat my weight in chips and salsa, and that's, one of my trigger foods. So it's insidious. It's in the head. It's not in the tummy. So.
Yeah. And so everybody's shaking their head. Everybody's like, yeah. So thank you, Karen, again for your insight.
I laughed because I thought she said she could have her chips with her seltzer.
Oh.
So just so you know, What's Eating You is a private group on Facebook. So whatever we post there are people that are struggling with food addiction or with addiction. It's not an open group that everyone sees what you're posting. So I feel comfortable to post there because no one is there by accident.
Exactly.
And
thank you.
Thank you for sharing. And we have Linda.
Hi, Linda. Can you unmute yourself, please?
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thanks.
Good to see you this morning.
Thank you.
Anything you'd like to share with the group?
This is my first time stepping into a room.
We know.
Welcome.
And I am 3 months out of bariatric surgery.
Very good.
And I've been in counseling now for a year
Good.
and been very much encouraged to join the community. So here I am.
Awesome. So thank you so much. We're super glad that you're here. You know, anything that you share with us, any of your struggles is going to help somebody else in the group. So that's what you're here for. We're here to talk about our experience, our strength, and our hopes. And so anytime that you feel like chiming in and sharing a little bit about that, that would be awesome. You guys, I'm very pro therapist. I've been seeing a therapist forever. I'm very pro that, and I believe that therapy is an adjunct to our recovery meetings. Make sure that you stay connected to some recovery group that resonates with you. Doesn't matter which group it is. You know, we hope that we'll be part of your journey. But if not, any group that resonates with you, stay connected to a community, because community helps us get happier and healthier and allows us to get out of this head where we live all of the time when we're in active addiction. Reach out to somebody else, step out of our own head, and which allows us to feel some sense of worth, as opposed to that worthlessness that I always felt. I could always only say from me, that shame and that worthlessness that I felt when I was in active addiction.
So some of the suggestions that were made to me, just so I can share from when I step into the rooms, is 90 meetings in 90 days if you can, no matter what those meetings look like. There were amazing pioneers before us that actually got groups started for anything with Anonymous in it, however that looks. They run meetings online, they run them in the rooms, connect to them. Find the help through a therapist, get yourself a sponsor, someone who has got something that you want, means clean time, someone who can teach you the steps in the way that you're able to learn and grow from them.
And somebody who resonates with you spiritually.
Right. And also the biggest thing is, whatever it is, do not pick up, because abstinence is key in this program. We do meet twice a week. This is something we do to be of service. The other thing is to be of service to others. We've got two facets to us. One is the Why Wait for Recovery page, which is kind of where we live stream everything. The easiest way to be of service is share it with someone who's struggling, because I got brought into the rooms by a friend who had struggled before. This is how we reach out to others. And also we have the What's Eating You community, that is a private space, that those thoughts, when they come into our heads, are not calls to action. If we're able to say the crazy things we think, and most of it is crazy stuff, when we're able to share it with others and others go, oh, I felt the same way, or I've done the same way, or do you know, try this, or whatever it is, there's a whole community, and we support each other because all of us are looking to be healthy and happy, and that's our only goal in this whole process. So utilize those resources.
Yeah, and
read materials. There are fantastic books and materials out there as well.
I didn't mean to interrupt. Also, we run workshops. Karen, how are you doing since you've been in the workshop?
I'm doing so much better.
Yeah.
They're amazing. I can't recommend them highly enough. I'll just keep going.
a lot of hard work, right?
It is a lot of hard work.
Yeah.
I'm taking a look at some things, I just do not look at, but it's gonna be so much better, and I feel so much better already.
Yeah, and it helps to get you healthy. You guys, addiction sucks. Recovery's hard, but it's so worth it. It's so worth it. It's so nice to be able to wake up most mornings and be happy, joyous, and free. Instead of that miserable human being, that sad, scared person that I was before. Full of shame and full of guilt and full of just these horrible feelings about myself, and looking at the world as a scary place. So much nicer, to wake up in the morning and to be happy, and be accepting of the world as a beautiful place, and that the world's going to turn the way that it does. And thank you. Yeah, and Karen, you're doing a lot of really hard work, so good job, you.
Thank you. For me, it was waking up angry. I was so angry. And angry at myself, but angry with everyone. Yeah. And so, I know it was all those things. But it's so much better to wake up and actually have energy and to feel good about myself, and everybody else.
Yeah.
and just go through the day being happier.
Yeah. Congrats for that, man. You're doing great. So we're really proud of you, by the way. We really are. We're all really proud of her.
It's so funny that you say that, Karen, because I just had my mother confront me just yesterday, saying that since I had bariatric surgery, I've become a more angry person. And I think part of it is not being able to indulge my addiction.
Of course.
And then the other part of it is the battle inside of me, because I have a lot of family members that are in the program, but they're in for alcohol or drugs or whatever, and it was hard for me to admit that I am part of this community, because I always said, well, that's not me. That's not me. I don't have those problems. You know? Meanwhile, I'm shoving food in my face like there's no tomorrow.
So you were terminally unique, right? You're unique. You're right. You're the only addict like you. You're the only special girl like you. We're just a bunch of addicts, but not you.
And we call that
coming to terms with that and accepting that this is my life and this is who I am and this is what I need to work on. And the other part is, you know, not being able to indulge my addiction and just being angry about that.
Right.
You know?
I am powerless over my addiction, and my life has become unmanageable.
And
that's
call that,
all of us. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. And we call that hangry.
Right.
As angry with an H as hangry.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Yeah, and so
it took me forever to see that I was an addict and that I'm just like any other kind of addict. But it took me forever to see that. My mother was an alcoholic, and I always thought like you, well, I don't have an issue with alcohol, but you're right. I was just feeding my face 24/7.
right, and so I am an alcoholic and a drug addict and an anorexic, so let's let go of the anorexia. So I'm an alcoholic drug addict, which makes me a whole lot worse than you, right? Not same shit, different substance. So, right?
I'm the third generation food addict in my family. My father had bariatric surgery, but I'm the only addict in the family because no one else has an addiction issue.
Nobody else has a problem. You're the only one with the problem, Katie.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So I was also really pissed off and angry at people who ate foods in front of me that I couldn't eat, like my husband or my kids after my surgery. Like I needed to change how I felt by being angry with them, where they were eating stuff that I really wanted to eat and I felt that I was being punished. So I'd be really shitty. I was really mean and obnoxious because I felt so bad inside.
Yeah, and you know, for me, that's always something that sits with me a little bit, no matter how much farther I go in my recovery. Not that when I'm around people that are drinking, because really, if I was going to go out, I would go out on opiates instead of alcohol. It wouldn't be worth it. If I'm a pee test dirty, I'm going to pee test with opiates in me, not with alcohol in me. But still, I still resent myself that it's the holidays and it's this. And when I'm out with people partying, I still have that ouch about myself and that ouch about, I don't want to be different. I want to be the person that can have a shot or two on New Year's and giggle and laugh. Because remember, in the beginning, it was all fun, right? Until it wasn't, right? And so I still have that little bit of ouch and resentment. I had it when I was 7 years clean. I have it now that I'm a bit shy of 2 years clean again. I still carry that. And I don't know, I guess, spiritually, if I can get connected enough, I'm hoping that that's going to go away. I know that there are a lot of addicts that it does go away for completely. I've just never been one of those addicts in recovery that has lost that. Maybe it's part of shame, you know, that I feel ashamed that I can't be normal, quote unquote normal, like other people are. And that it's something that I need to work on and something that I need to continuously take a look at myself at. And so don't expect that you had bariatric surgery and bam, you know, things are going to get all better, because they don't. You know, we take a look at ourselves. I'm going to tell you guys something. You get a couple of years of actual recovery under your belt, and you're going to find that you're happier than most people that you know, whether they were addicts or not, because what other people walk around every single day trying to better themselves spiritually, trying to be as best as they can to be of service to another human being, right? We work on that stuff all the time. So it's not just that we work on it as addicts, but we work on it as human beings, right? So that we can give back to the universe, right?
And that leads into that, what we started off in the beginning, is every single day we have a choice of how we want that to go. And we are able to choose to be happy.
Yeah.
You know, happiness is a choice. Not every day is a fantastic, wonderful day, but there's definitely good things that happen every single day.
Yeah.
And it just depends on what we choose to focus on. So one of the interesting things is Michelle just sent us a message saying that as an addict, her eyes are bigger than her stomach and she still feels deprived after eating a meal. And that's something a lot of us struggle with, because what we think we deserve and what we should have, and not sitting down and focusing on where we at right this second, is something that I've struggled with in my addiction, is being present and actually enjoying that moment in time for right now and feeling satisfied.
Yeah, and remember, you guys, if we come from a place of abundance or we come from a place of lack, that's about us. So if I want to look at my world and say, wow, I can't believe that I can't do this, and I come from that place of lack, I'm never going to be successful in my recovery. If I come from a place of, you know what, when I change my behaviors, I'm going to feel amazing and happy. If I come from that place, then it makes recovery possible. So remember, staying clean is a choice that we make. Stepping into this room is a choice that we make. I could pick up anytime I want to, right? That's my choice. And so not picking up is a choice that I make as well. And yes?
So we about to start wrapping up. I just want to remind you, our next meeting is 9 to 10 p.m. on Wednesday evening, Eastern Standard Time. Join us in the room on Zoom. Isn't it awesome? And being in the room, you can actually converse with us. You can live stream us. You can be of service. You can invite others to join us. And we look forward to seeing you on Wednesday. And post your gratitude. Please share your gratitude list
3
with
things
us.
you're grateful for and your strength for the day. If possible, pick your strength from one of the spiritual principles that's up on both sites,
Yeah,
right?
it's on both sides.
And I'm going to choose to read the promises from the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, because these promises come true. If we are painstaking about this phase of our development, we will be amazed before we are halfway through. We are going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We will not regret the past, nor wish to shut the door on it. We will comprehend the word serenity, and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we will see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self-pity will disappear. We will lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self-seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We will intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We will suddenly realize that the universe does for us what we couldn't do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We don't think so. They're being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly, but they will always materialize if we work for them. I'm so blessed and grateful for this community, for our Why Wait for Recovery community. I'm so blessed and so grateful for every one of you that steps into the room and helps me with my recovery and allows me to be of service. My name is Felice.
And I'm so blessed and grateful for all of you too, and for this opportunity to be here, to be able to start my Sunday this way is the greatest joy. And have a beautiful week. We'll see you on
Beautiful
Wednesday.
week. Peace out,
everybody.
you guys. To the right.